Singapore will redouble efforts to strengthen its social compact as the pandemic puts pressure on social cohesion across the world. Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for Social Policies, Tharman Shanmugaratnam, says this will be done by providing more and better job opportunities, reducing inequality and building a culture of solidarity.
Job and income losses are hitting some groups harder than others around the world, widening divisions and threatening to bring about what Senior Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam calls a profound social crisis.
Singapore cannot defy the global economic downturn, but we must absolutely defy the loss of social cohesion, the polarization, and the despair that is taking hold in many other countries.
Mr. Tharman's speech is the fifth in a series of 6 national broadcasts made by Singapore's leaders to lay out plans for how the country can emerge stronger from COVID-19. He says the government will strengthen the social compact, first through education and jobs. The priority is to save jobs and help those who are retrenched return to work. The National Jobs Council, which Mr. Tharman chairs, has set a target to secure 100,000 jobs and training places.
If we leave things to market forces, unemployment will rise significantly over the next year, or even beyond that if COVID-19 remains a threat. The public sector will step up recruitment, especially in sectors which earlier had difficulty finding enough Singaporeans to fill up the positions.
To help middle-aged and older workers, the government will also scale up the new Mid-Career Pathways program. Mr. Tharman says new thinking among employers is needed to give this group a fair chance, and it must be a national effort.
Everyone must have the courage to re-gear to stay on track and make the effort to acquire new skills at regular points in your careers, possibly even learning whole new disciplines. Please take on the challenge.
To give all Singaporeans a good start, the Education Ministry will give students from disadvantaged backgrounds even more support in the coming years. More teachers and allied educators will be hired to help those who are falling behind. MOE will also equip all secondary school students with their own laptop or tablet for learning by next year, 7 years ahead of the target.
There's nothing natural or preordained about social mobility. Every successful country has in fact found that it gets more difficult to sustain this with time. It therefore requires relentless government effort, quality interventions in schools, and dedicated networks of community support to keep social mobility alive.
Mr. Tharman says all Singaporeans have a role to play in strengthening the culture of solidarity, so they know they can depend on one another to make sure no one is left behind. On the government's part, it's working to provide greater support for the lower and middle income. Salaries for the lowest paid workers have risen due to schemes like the progressive wage model. Mr. Tharman says cleaners, security officers and landscape workers have seen their wages rise by 30% over the past 5 years, and the plan is to extend this model to all sectors. The Manpower Ministry is already working with the tripartite partners on this. Those who are doing short-term contract work will also be given opportunities to get more stable jobs. Mr. Tharman says these measures will improve pay and conditions for lower income workers, though it may lead to a small rise in the cost of services.
But it is a small price for us to pay for better jobs and income security for those who need it most, and a fair society. Ultimately, the greatest confidence we get in our future as Singaporeans comes from our social compact. Our social strategies are aimed at strengthening this compact that holds us together. But the compact is about all of us and goes much deeper than government policies.
And this will be the key for Singaporeans to journey together as a forward-looking and more cohesive society.